Hello, my name is Leo Carson, and I am the United States Secretary of State. Today, I'll be discussing rebuilding U.S. leadership in global climate policy. I will explain how climate change has become a major foreign policy issue, how U.S. leadership has changed over time, and what policy options are available moving forward. Climate change is no longer just an environmental issue, it is a global economic, political, and security challenge. The United States is the largest historical contributor to greenhouse gas emissions, which means it has both responsibility and influence in shaping global climate policy. Because of this, climate policy is directly tied to U.S. foreign policy. The way the U.S. acts on climate affects its relationships with its allies, its global reputation, and its economic competitiveness. Historically, the United States has played a leadership role in international climate efforts. It was a key player in creating the Paris Agreement in 2015, which aimed to bring countries together to reduce emissions. However, U.S. involvement has been inconsistent. The country withdrew from the agreement in 2017, rejoined in 2021, and then withdrew again in 2026. This pattern has created uncertainty and has made the U.S. appear unreliable to other countries. The Paris Agreement is a global treaty focused on limiting global warming to between 1.5 and 2 degrees Celsius. Nearly every country in the world participates, making it one of the most important international climate agreements. Countries set their own emission reduction goals and they work together to meet them. The US has historically been central to this agreement, so its withdrawal significantly weakens global cooperation. As of 2026, the United States has withdrawn from the Paris Agreement again and has stepped back from broader international climate cooperation. At the same time, other global powers, especially China and the European Union, are continuing to invest heavily in climate initiatives and clean energy. This shift means the US is losing its leadership role in an area that is becoming increasingly important on the global stage. This creates several major issues. First, globally, it weakens international cooperation. When the US steps back, other countries may also reduce their commitments. Second, economically, the clean energy market is rapidly growing, and by not leading, the US risks falling behind in innovation and job creation. Third, security. Climate change contributes to instability, including resource shortages and migration, which can lead to conflict. Altogether, this makes climate policy a critical foreign policy issue. Other global actors are taking advantage of this gap. China is investing heavily in renewable energy and positioning itself as a leader in green technology. The European Union is also pushing forward with strong climate policies and international partnerships. This means that leadership in climate policy is not just about the environment, it is about global influence and power. There are several policy options the United States could consider. First, it could rejoin international agreements like the Paris Agreement to restore credibility and rebuild alliances. Second, it could increase domestic investment in its clean energy to strengthen economic competitiveness and innovation. Third, it could develop a stronger climate diplomacy strategy, working closely with allies to lead coordinated global efforts. Each of these options addresses both environmental and geopolitical concerns. My recommendation is that the United States should re enter global climate agreements and actively lead international climate cooperation. Rejoining agreements like the Paris Agreement would immediately signal to our allies that the United States is committed to long term global solutions, helping to rebuild trust and credibility that has been weakened by recent policy shifts. In addition, the U.S. should increase its investment in clean energy and climate innovation at home, which would strengthen economic competitiveness and allow the country to lead in emerging global markets. The United States should also prioritize climate diplomacy by working closely with allies and partners to coordinate international efforts and set global standards. Leadership in climate policy is not just about reducing emissions, it's about maintaining geopolitical influence, strengthening alliances, and ensuring that the United States remains a central force in shaping the global future. In conclusion, climate change is one of the most significant foreign policy challenges facing the United States today, with direct impacts on global stability, economic growth, and national security. While the United States has historically been a leader in addressing this issue, recent inconsistencies in climate policy have weakened its global position and created opportunities for other countries to take the lead. If this trend continues, the U.S. risks losing both influence in international negotiation and its competitive edge in the rapidly growing clean energy economy. Rebuilding leadership in the global climate policy is therefore not only necessary for addressing environmental concerns, but also for protecting U.S. strategic interests and strengthening its role on the world stage. By taking decisive action now, the United States can restore its credibility, reinforce alliances, and once again lead the global response to climate change. Thank you.